Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. After 2 months in Nevada, the suspect in a Billings murder case is back in Montana to face a judge this week.
Now, the charges come after a police investigation at this Billings Heights home of 54-year-old Gregory Green. Green was brought back to Montana late Sunday night and booked into the Yellowstone County Detention Center. He faces charges of deliberate homicide.
Now, this case stems all the way back to September when prosecutors linked Greg Green to the disappearance of his girlfriend, Laura Johnson. Johnson never showed up for work.
Andrea Lutz has been tracking this story since Johnson's son first told Q2 about his mother's disappearance and joins us now with the very latest. Andrea?
Well, this case still has a major unknown, and it's forcing Billings police to keep it active and open. That's because Laura Johnson's body has never been located. However, Green remains the primary suspect, and here's why. Charging documents say Johnson moved to Billings with Green prior to her disappearance. Her family told Q2 News they hadn't seen or heard of their mom in weeks. As investigators looked further into her disappearance, they found camera footage from a neighbor that showed Green carrying what appeared to be a heavy object, cradle style, out of his garage. Documents state the object was covered in a blanket and it's consistent with the size and shape of a body. They also say they saw him place a shovel in the bed of a vehicle. Well, detectives were able to track the movements of a work truck they believe Green had Johnson's body in. He ultimately traveled to Henderson, Nevada. Detectives continue to search areas south of Laurel for that potential burial site. And right now on KTVQ.com, we do have more details inside the court documents about this case. You can find those there. Now, Captain Neil Lawrence with the Billings Police Department says Green arrived in Billings at noon on Sunday with the help of the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office. And he's going to appear in court tomorrow. So we'll let you know what happens. Back to you.
Thanks, Andrea.
It has only been 3 days since Montana's sole U.S. House spot became an open seat in 2020, and already a second Republican has entered the race.
State Auditor Matt Rosendale announced this morning that he is running for that House seat, his third statewide race in just 4 years. The position officially opened for 2020 last Friday when incumbent Republican Greg Gianforte announced he's running for governor next year. On Saturday, Republican Secretary of State Corey Stapleton was the first to jump in and announce he's dropping out of the race for governor and instead running for Gianforte's seat. Today, Rosendale says he's ready to go to Washington, and he'll emphasize his record as insurance commissioner on working to expand health care options for Montana and opening up more lands to public access.
Rosendale ran for U.S. Senate last year, lost a tight race to Democratic Senator John Tester. During that campaign, Rosendale was often cast by opponents as an outsider because he moved to the state 17 years ago from Maryland. Rosendale spoke to that issue Monday, saying he and his family came to Glendive in 2002 because they liked what they saw in Montana.
I think that the more people that dig into me, they see that the reason that we came to Montana nearly 20 years ago was because we appreciate the wholesome things that it has to offer, family and community and that way of life. And because I want to preserve those for the next generations to come, I want to serve and work for the people of Montana.
2 Democrats are already in the 2020 race for the House, and a third Republican is expected to join the fray later this week.
Well, since China banned scrap materials from the U.S. in 2018, companies all across the U.S. are struggling to find places to put their recycling, especially cardboard, as mills are running at capacity. Q2 Zoe's Andorra digs deeper with one local company as it deals with that very issue.
With them not buying, it's backed up the domestic mills' crash prices. And for some people, it's cheaper to throw it in the landfill than it is to ship it to a recycling facility.
Curbside recycling, both residentially and commercially in Billings. Earth First Aid Curbside picks up your recycling, brings it back to the shop, bales the items, then ships them out. Owner of Earth First Aid Curbside Recycling, Scott Barron, says the ban from China made for a long 2018, and it's been an even longer 2019.
We currently have no processing facilities in the state of Montana that will process any of this material into a reusable product.
Though mills are backed up and prices are down, First Aid is still able to move all of their material with the exception of cardboard, which fell to $0 a ton this month as compared to $5 a ton last month.
All of this cardboard just sitting here at Earth First Aid with nowhere to ship. Now, mills are cutting back on allocations as they're running at 180% capacity, and they are picky and limited on what they can take in, causing backups for some where it's just sitting here like it is at Earth First Aid, or it's getting sent straight to the landfill.
Historically, Earth First Aid has sold cardboard at an upwards of $120 a ton. Then it dropped to $80, then $20. Now it's at $0.
It's just been progressively getting worse to the point where we can't sell it. People are sending it to the landfills. China is currently buying cardboard from other countries at $500 a ton. So it's not fun for them, it's not fun for us.
What will it take to start moving the cardboard again? Well, more investments in infrastructure. Barron says we need more U.S. mills to process the inventory domestically and bring the manufacturing and jobs back to the U.S.
So what they've done is they're sending people from China into the United States. They're purchasing shuttered U.S. paper mills. They're retooling them into cardboard facilities to eventually ship the cardboard back to themselves, which is fine, doesn't matter. As long as they're purchasing and moving it, that's what we want to see. We want to see the product move again at a reasonable price.
In Billings, Zoe Zandora, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Zoe. Now, Barron says recycling is still a positive. At the end of the day, it conserves natural resources and creates jobs and supplies.
Well, cleanup is underway in north central Montana after a hailstorm pounded parts of Ponderosa and Teton counties. Residents of Valier say it looked like a bomb went off after hailstones the size of golf balls or bigger fell for several minutes Friday afternoon. They say they've never seen anything that bad before. Many of those same neighbors doing everything they can to try and help each other out in the aftermath as they wait for insurance adjusters to arrive. And it wasn't just homes and cars damaged. Many crops also took a hit.
Construction crews say they are on track to complete reconstruction of Glacier National Park's Sperry Chalet by October. Governor Steve Bullock hosted an update at the state capitol today. The second phase of the two-year project begins July 1st. Now, that includes masonry work, finishing the roof, and completing the interior of the building. The work is challenging as crews have to hike in, and many materials must be delivered by helicopter. Park Superintendent Jeff Mao thanked the State Historic Preservation Office and the Glacier National Park Conservancy for all their help.
So we've made improvements to the building so that it's structurally going to be more sound, it'll be in better shape for the next 100 years, but we haven't changed it so much as to change the visitor experience.
The Sperry Chalet kitchen and dining hall will be open this summer for construction crews and the public.
Gas prices in Billings dropped 1.5 cents a gallon this past week, according to Gas Buddy's daily survey of 81 stations in the Magic City. The decline here mirrors a trend of 6 consecutive weeks where pump prices have been sliding downward, a rare feat as we head into the prime summer driving season. Today's price report shows local gas prices range from a low of $2.55 a gallon to a high of $2.79 a gallon in Billings, a difference of 24 cents per gallon depending on where you fill up. Now, this graphic shows the 10-year history of Billings gas prices on this date. Last year, the average pump price was $2.85 a gallon. In 2011 and 2012 were the years with the highest prices, when Billings motorists were paying $3.69 a gallon. The year with the lowest price was 2017. It was $2.31 a gallon.
Well, some bad news for country music fans here in Billings. The June 28th Brett Eldredge show at Cove Creek Pavilion has been canceled. The show's host, Knitting Factory Entertainment, posted today due to an unforeseen scheduling conflict. The Brett Eldredge concert, June 28th at Cove Creek Pavilion, has been canceled. Tickets purchased online will be automatically refunded. All other refunds are available at the point of purchase. Eldredge is scheduled to perform in Greeley, Colorado the next night, Saturday, June 29. Well, coming up on tonight's 5:30 News, it's a chance to travel to countless other lands with no airfare, no passports, no luggage. All you need is your imagination and a willingness to help others. We'll show you how. And later in sports, we'll meet this golfer who actually finds success in throwing his gear. Scott has that story.
And coming up in weather, I got to tell you, we are looking at some splash and dash showers, our typical summer season. But wait till you see what's going to happen by the time the first day of summer gets here. We'll pull it all together for you in a few more minutes. And now a look ahead at tonight's MTN statewide 9 o'clock news on the CW.
Continuing coverage out of Gallatin County as officials are trying to decide whether to take party affiliation off the election's ballots. We have the pros and the cons. It's coming up tonight on your MTN 9 o'clock news on CW Montana.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.